Ready, Scott?
It's 5, 4, 3.
As the hour is 6 o'clock, we're going to call the meeting to order tonight for the Master Plan Steering Committee at exactly 6 o'clock. Scott, could you give me a roll call, please?
Yes. In attendance, we have Crystal Kidd, Steve Whitman, Pat Wood, Gary Dion, Counselor Eric Hoffman, Rob Mora, John McCardle, Jennifer Ulrich, Tyler Carmichael. I'm Scott Pelchat. I'll be taking minutes this evening.
Thank you, Scott. The draft minutes for the March 26th Master Plan Steering Committee were distributed. Has everybody had a chance to review them? Any questions, comments, concerns concerning the minutes? Hearing none, I'll consider them accepted as presented. And with that, I'm just going to pass you the buck, Steve.
All right, thanks, Rob.
You're welcome.
Before we jump into a discussion of the outreach and engagement report, this is the first time we've been together since doing the 3 community forums. So we just wanted to give you a chance to talk as a committee about how the experience was, any observations, anything you want to share. Happy just to give you some space for that. John.
Reflecting over the sessions, and one of the comments that I received offline from a constituent, I guess, call people, is that there weren't a lot of young people, and then thankfully I saw that the engagement for younger people was recognized and is going to be discussed. But the other thing I noticed is that, you know, we were looking at 4 to 6 in the afternoon, and you're really only going to get a target not a target population, a certain population during that time period. Had I thought about it, you know, when we started to propose doing this, possibly an evening session from maybe 7 to 9 or 6 to 8, might have been a little bit more beneficial in getting a different demographic.
Others?
I didn't get to the library presentation, but I was at the one in the Weirs and the one in Leavitt Park. And, I mean, people were filling out the questionnaires, I think, to some degree, but there wasn't a whole lot of discussion about it. And that was, I think, sort of a shortcoming, because I think people needed to have an opportunity to do some discussion as well as to see what was there. And I don't know if that's possible to do it under this format that you have, but that was one of the comments that I received from somebody who had been at one of the libraries. There wasn't a real opportunity to discuss things in detail. It was well, not as much of an opportunity, I should say. I don't know how best that could have been.
I think what you're trying to relay is, I think that maybe perhaps some people were looking for a presentation, and as opposed to more of the open forum that it was, is that in order for the engagement, they had to actually talk to other people, and they were more under the impression that there was going to be a presentation of this is the direction, or this is.
I think that's right, Rob.
And I know we kind of talked about that, and we kind of wanted, our thoughts was if we were going to present or kind of relay information, we didn't want to drive people into a direction of this is what they thought, or this is the direction we thought the city should go in. We wanted the open dialogue so that people could come to their own conclusions and feel free about the input they were giving, which is why we didn't do any presentations.
Right.
I think the other things that weighed in when we talked about it months ago was it's hard to replicate that for people who want to participate online. There will be a time, we'll talk about September tonight, where we have more to present and we can have more dialogue again. And if it's us presenting, you know, we're not from Laconia, so we're the people away talking to the people who are here, which eats up time, and then not everybody's comfortable conversing. So you end up with a few people who are very comfortable, who probably have heard from before, kind of dominating the event, and we didn't want that to happen at the outset.
Right.
Yeah, and I think too, people are used to how our boards operate, where we all, like we're doing tonight, we all sit up here, we do our own thing, and then we usually have an opportunity for people to come up and then speak about what was discussed. And this was something I don't think that the city has seen in a long time, if ever, of a type of like public event of come out, talk with your neighbors, talk with other residents, see the data that's been presented, and then have those types of discussions among yourselves or with us who attended. So I think that was just kind of, people were not used to that as well, but
I think it might have been helpful if there'd been an explanation of what the process is and what we're doing, so that people would better understand why we're having the forum.
So there was a whole station on that. There was
I
a whole
know
poster and
the
everything
station,
on
but-
that, yeah.
Right, in defense of that, and I don't mean to cut you off, Pat, but in defense of that, you constantly had an influx of people coming into the session, and that's why I think Steve had that first visual, if you will.
Right.
To let people know this is what we expect to go on. Otherwise, you're constantly given that.
Right.
So
New people coming in, they're
Yeah.
not gonna catch that initial part.
it's a new, well, to us, it's a new concept.
And I will say that, because I also missed the downtown one, but I was at the Weirs and the Lakeport, that at those two, I felt like people at that point were more comfortable, especially, if we would go up and approach them and ask them what they're thinking, when they're looking at the posters, stuff like that. I felt like there was a lot of discussion, especially in Lakeport. I feel like that's probably where the most discussion was had. And I feel like by that point, it was our third one. We were all comfortable. We knew what was going on at that point.
Right.
Well, that is true. There was a lot of discussion, especially in Lakeport. That was very, as you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, I want to commend you guys because I felt like, I went to Weirs and Lakeport, and when I walked in, you greeted me, you let me know what it, why I was there and, how it would carry out. I do just think it's a challenge because it was a very open forum in kind of self-guided, if you will.
Right.
And then, the request for reaction and information from the participants was very broad and very wide open. And I think anytime you're, I know you don't want to be too scripted with your questions, but I do think that can be hard for people to, and it takes time. I mean, I spent some time like writing out, and I think I think that is the piece that was challenging to get, kind of maybe a lot of feedback or a lot of, it's kind of like, what do I sit here and do this? Do I take it with me as soon as I walk out with it? I don't know where it goes, on my countertop. Like and lost with all the other shuffle, you had to be, I know I did that, but, not to tell on my husband, but I think that, I don't know if his made it in, because I rushed him out and was like, but, I think if you didn't do it right then, it almost felt like it would be fantastic if there had been a way to do it electronically there, which, that sounds nuts maybe, but.
On your phone.
Right, I guess, right. I mean, I don't know. But anyway, I wanted just to recognize, though, that I thought that you all did a fabulous job and had a high energy at the door, presenting to the people that walked in and were very engaging. And so, whether that led to input from everyone to the degree that you expected, that's a different conversation. But I just want to acknowledge that because,
Okay.
Yeah, I thought the information was well presented, I think there's a lot of, I guess, semi-complicated concepts involved in this, and I thought the displays kind of broke it down in a way that was easy for people to digest and comment on. Looking at the results, I guess my biggest concern was demographics, and we're kind of missing some input in some key areas, and it looks like you're way ahead of me on that.
Not us.
Okay.
We were called into a meeting. We'll talk about it.
Right, so I'm glad to see that we're gonna address that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
It's the hardest group to get, and I think we want to spend some time on that youth demographic, which is more than 18 and under. It's young adults as well. So after we go through this, we can talk about that.
Looked like the average respondent was over 55, so.
Which is not uncommon for these
Right.
things. It's unfortunately who's paying attention to a lot of these or has the time. So yeah, so we want to address that if we can. If we have time, we can.
Right.
With that, I think timing was a little bit difficult for the end of the school year for people of, there was probably a lot going on if you were, family with some school-age children trying to make your way out there with sports and whatnot. so.
At the same time, we see towns and cities do this at all different times of the year. There's always, it's the end of the school year, it's the summer, it's the beginning of the school year, it's the holidays, it's winter, no one wants to go out.
There's an excuse for everything.
There
There's no
is,
good
yeah.
time. It's just, you have
And
to
so we
just
always
pick a
get
time to do it,
55
right?
and up, or maybe 45 and up.
Yeah.
But seldom do we get Crystal walking through the door, so she got really excited when she saw a couple other people
Yeah.
who are a younger demographic. And I think we want to see if we can capture that. Okay, so we wanted to kind of get that before talking about the draft. The draft, I'm going to hand it over to Crystal in a second, but the draft outreach and engagement report, she'll walk you through how it's structured. It will stay a draft, so that if we do more youth outreach or we do something in September, every time we're having conversations, we're collecting information that can inform the master plan, it can become incorporated here. So just know that we'll take any edits and ideas from tonight from all you and folks that are attending. But anything else we can do to interpret it, we can continue to do that. So, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so as you guys know, we know that you have received this as part of your packet, the outreach and engagement report, and we just wanted to kind of go over it with you briefly, kind of show you how it's set up and some of the major emerging community priorities or themes that are starting to come out with outreach so far. So the report's first 4 pages starts off what we kind of call an executive summary. The intent of it is to just provide basically like a visually engaging and high level kind of overview of what was discovered within the existing, within the outreach and engagement report, and then what methods were used to get this feedback, so that if anyone wanted to read this report and didn't want to read all maybe 60 to 100 pages, they could read the first 4 and get the glimpse of what was happening at these events and online tool. So then we go into the executive summary highlights basically what we heard overall, the outreach methods used in the process, and then emerging community priorities. Some of those that we pointed out were to preserve community character, protect natural resources, expand housing opportunities, strengthen downtown and village centers, improve walking, biking, and connectivity, enhance parks, recreation, and waterfront access, build a strong year-round economy, and invest in infrastructure and community services. The executive summary also identifies in emerging priorities across Laconia's neighborhoods and districts. These include citywide, downtown, Lakeport, Weirs, and those major transportation corridors that we highlighted at the forums and online tool. So we tried to identify here major themes of what respondents would like to retain or improve in that particular area. And then the next part really dives into the details. This is like where the meat of the report is.
Guys, pause 1 second.
Yes.
So this 4-page executive summary, which probably people can't see, but it's, if they agree that we could put it to the website and share this after tonight, this could be a standalone.
Yeah, actually, we have it posted on the
Oh, it is?
agenda, so
Okay.
it is available online right now.
Fantastic.
Correct.
So this could be a standalone too. The average person reading 4 pages about what we've learned so far might be enough. Then if they want to delve in, typically what Crystal's about to talk about is what begins the document. And it didn't feel dynamic enough or kind of teased out enough for where we need to be with this project. So I just wanted to point that out. So she and Liz spent time on that to kind of make sure that came to the surface.
Great, thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
So, like we were getting to, basically, at the introduction, we start at really getting into the meat of the outreach and engagement report. This part of the report summarizes in detail all of the outreach methods and advertising conducted so far as part of this project. There is a key findings section from all public outreach that generally just summarizes what we heard from everything within this report. And then there's the final section of the report, which is basically like a question by question. So you can see in detail a summary of what people were saying per one. And then lastly, as an appendix to the report, there is all of the raw feedback and raw results from all of the in-person community forum events as well as the online tool. So people who really want to make sure, like, hey, like, did exactly what I say get put in there? Yes, it did. And it did inform this process. So we really like to keep it transparent for the public. And with that, I'll turn it to Steve, because as we alluded to, we're really missing from hearing youth and young adults like myself. So how can we really target them and get them included in the process?
Well, before we jump to that, I guess questions or feedback on the draft report. Does it capture, I mean, did you have a chance to look at it?
Well, I think it was encouraging that I think almost everything in here is stuff that we've talked about in these meetings. So it's encouraging that I feel like we're on the right track. You know, our opinion of what the town needs or where we're going in the future kind of lines up pretty well with the respondents. So I think it's good.
I would agree with that, and I would say within the individual, so we can continue to mine the appendix. We were talking about that with Gary at the beginning. There are details and there are ideas that will help from the public that will help us articulate actions later on. So there are, even though the themes are very similar, they're starting to organize themselves based on what we heard from the general public and what we're seeing in the existing conditions report. And it's kind of interesting how they're coming together.
In reading through it, and I don't know if the capability is there to parse the information into categories of government can do, government can do, or can't do, completely has to be private, or where are those crossovers where we can start to make a change that's cooperative? Because there are a lot of comments in it, great ideas, but that is well outside of the ability of the government, the city government, to implement or to make a change. And I think if we can get those things separated out, it might give us a clearer picture going forward. I mean, there are a lot of things in it that are going to be policy-driven or procedural, ordinance-wise, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's other stuff in here that's like, great comment, but if we as the city try to do that, we're overstepping our bounds.
Yeah, so what you're saying is important, John. Typically, we don't go to that level of detail with these results, but we will over the next couple months as we start to tease out the implementation actions. And we can organize the implementation actions thematically, like under these 8 or so themes that are emerging. You might decide that some of them should be combined or broken apart or whatever. And then we can also organize them the way you're saying, like things that the city can do, things that partners can do, things that can be collaborative, public-private. Or sometimes what we'll do is in a column, we talk about primary and secondary responsibilities. So, you know, the master plan is the planning board's responsibility, but the planning board in most communities is not the only one implementing it for some of the reasons you're citing. And yeah, and it might be, you know, if there's a willing partner to work on this non-regulatory housing initiative, there seems to be interest. And because it's a land use document, you might decide that some of the things can be listed as potential actions, but they're not the priority of the master plan in the next 10 years, but you don't want to lose them. So we're going to have to try to tease some of that out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to point out, too, that I know we were talking about some of the challenges and how different it was from how we normally do things in the city. But I think it was really good because as I'm looking here, I pulled up some of the older documents. Just to point this out, the report you guys have drafted here, based off of all the public comments we've received online and at the forums, is 93 pages long. And our current 2018 master plan is only 25 pages long, and I think they had a couple public hearings at planning board with very little participation. So I think that it's also very encouraging that we had so much participation compared to prior years to actually influence this. And as you mentioned, Councilor Hoffman, that as I was reading through it too, I was like, wow, these are things that we have been discussing, and it's encouraging that I feel like we are on the right track, so.
And how many people responded online?
So online, it was 240.
240, wow. Yeah.
So it
Fantastic.
came to like 325 touch points. Now, if your husband walked through the door and he was counted at, a session, but then also went home and did a couple of questions online, It's hard to know how many people do that. Because Crystal can see as she's going through the data, sometimes someone will go in and they just answer the transportation question. And they might have done that one day, and then they go back another day and they do 2 other questions.
Right.
Um,
Or you have folks that may not have access to a computer and might go to the library to take it, and you might have more than one
Yeah,
response.
we had a couple of those that came in late, and we incorporated all. So yeah, it's a sample. What's interesting is, I think we, as Eric said, there were things that we expected to see, and then there were some things that were shared in levels of detail that I didn't anticipate seeing, which was helpful, because it's part of how it educates us so that we can help you. So hopefully when we're talking about it with everybody who's here, who's been involved, they're seeing the way this is evolving and coming closer and closer into focus. And we'll talk about September in a minute, but we do want to have an event. We've been talking with Rob and Tyler about that.
I just want to comment on your comment, Tyler. I mean, you talked about the previous document. The one previous to that was a lot more extensive, and there was a lot, it was done with, you were on that committee.
Not the short one I was on.
No, the one before.
Was I? Okay.
Yeah, you were on, I was on, and you were on.
All right.
And we ran it similarly. We had forums in the same way.
Yeah.
So I don't think we kept as good a data in terms of the demographic spread. And I was disappointed to see the demographic spread the way it was. And I figured if the people that showed up at the sessions were a lot of familiar faces. So I was at the library and I knew most everybody that came in.
Right.
Because they always come to meetings like that. I was expecting that when we had the online services, that was going to give the younger people more of a chance. They're more likely to respond online than they are to go to a meeting.
Right.
So I was expecting a better penetration that way. I'm not quite sure. Maybe we could have used Facebook. I don't know. Create a
We did.
page. We did?
I mean, we put it out through social media, so, but it is really
Might have been the
hard.
wrong page.
Maybe it was the wrong page. Do you, Rob and Tyler, do you want to talk at all about the youth gap as far as participation, or do we just want to start talking about how we want to address it?
So I sent out, so just so everybody's aware of how this kind of transpired. So we got the draft of the outreach report, and Tyler and I gave it a read through, and we were like, there were some good things, and we recognized some things, and we decided we'd send it out to city council and the land use board so they could take a look at it. And very, very quickly, the mayor reached out to the city manager and said, I have a huge concern with this, and this is what it is. And Kirk called me up and said, can we find a solution to this? And we immediately called you and like, how can we put something together to do this? So I think it was an excellent how all unfolded, and I will let you kind of lead how we want to do this, but I just want to recognize how important it was that we reach back out and we find a way to engage and get some more input for some of the target demographics we're looking to attract to the city.
So we met Monday. It was Monday, right?
Yes, yep.
And what Crystal and I put together that's in your packet, the 4 pages, was the way that we tried to take apart this idea of youth, teens, young adults, and thinking about what is it we want to communicate to them. And this is just a dry run with you guys. Like, you tell us where we've gone too far or not far enough on any of this. So the first page is really, as we're trying to engage some of these partners and get them thinking, because they might come up with creative solutions that we haven't thought about that would help. And I'll just take a step back. Any new data we get from the youth is not going to likely be the same questions. It's going to be its own outreach and engagement effort, right? Kind of tailored to a different audience. So we broke it into kind of the 4 things we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to learn. So we're trying to help them understand what it is we're learning. We're trying to create a connection with them, encouraging younger participants. We're trying to meet them where they are already, so through organizations or places of business or whatever the case may be. And we started brainstorming that. And we want to ask them some questions. We want to ask them questions about how they perceive the future of Laconia, even if it's not part of maybe their future. They are thinking they're going on to other stuff. They'll have ideas, and they'll be aware of challenges. And so when you get to the second page, we started in a conversation with Tyler and Rob, and then afterwards, Crystal did some additional brainstorming about potential partners. So school and youth programs. The school district's an obvious one that we can leverage. Classroom teachers sometimes are a great direct conduit. They can understand how it can work in their curriculum. Student organizations, parks and rec, after-school programs, and summer camps, any park and rec summer camps. The public library is an obvious partner because they're interacting with youth and often with families. But then Prescott Farm and other places. Community and business organizations, so going back to the chamber, going to the Young Professionals Network, the community college, local employers, and obviously we can't contact every local employer, so we have to think about what does that look like, but are there key local employers who might get us to some of these folks? And then other places where people are going, restaurants, coffee shops, youth sports, rec leagues, and community and faith-based organizations. We're having a similar issue in another community, that shall not be named, and at the end of the public forum, a youth pastor walked in and was like, oh, you want to talk to kids? Like, I talk to kids all the time. And so he was participating just as a resident of the community and is now working with the planning staff to try to do some activities with the kids. The next 2 pages, we kind of started to sketch out what a work plan could look like. And this is a really ambitious work plan. It's looking at July to September. If we have to go past September, that's okay. But we, at some point, need to start kind of writing the plan if we're going to finish the end of the year. So just thinking about the fact that some of the school kids really can't get engaged till September, we want to be making those connections over the summer and getting that to come together. But that we could do some of the stuff through the parks and others. So we just did this as a real brainstorming exercise to get you all thinking and talking tonight. One of the questions here is, which ones do we do? Which ones aren't here that you're thinking of that are maybe also great ideas? Who does it? So if committee members do it, that's like the best thing for the budget. If staff has to do it, I don't know how that works.
Probably also the best thing for the budget.
We definitely still have room in the budget to provide support, so it doesn't mean that by doing this that there's a need for any additional dollars. But we want to get a handle on how much of this are we going to do. What are the biggest leverage points, I guess, that you're excited about, that we want to commit to? And what we want to do after tonight is take the notes from this conversation and create a spreadsheet and actually put names next to places that you're comfortable taking the lead, or recognize that nobody on the committee is comfortable taking the lead, and we need to rethink how we're going to do this. And then make this an item on the agenda for the next couple meetings until we can start to see some results. So I'll stop talking. That's the overview.
I agree with that approach. I think we have to be a little more tactical about that and get real specific assigning people. I recall that I felt like I'd raised my hand to like engage with the school board at one point, and I was waiting for material, but then it like came out. So I felt like, you know, I hadn't done a good job either raising my hand, or we weren't real specific enough about who was going to do the thing. And that's what I think if we're going to get there, we need to do that, and people should only sign up if they're really going to do the thing. But you know, also. But yeah, I think signing that out would be real.
I agree.
helpful.
I reached out to the SAU office, and they're like, really, the summer, you're not going to get really any input. And in order for us to send surveys out through the school, it needs to be approved by the SAU. So
Yeah.
I think that if we want to take that approach, it's going to be later towards the end of summer, early August, late August, somewhere about there. And we really need to flesh out what we want to ask that target audience there and get approval from the school board so we can kind of get that sent out.
I like the idea of the employers. I mean, we identified the largest employers that, in our community, and that seems like a way of engaging. I don't,
As long as their workforce is under 40.
Well,
You know what, maybe it doesn't matter, well, obviously what we want the younger, but just opening it back up for the additional comment, for those people who didn't just having additional comment from residents anyways will be beneficial to the entire master plan process as it goes through. So any additional input we get is going to be beneficial.
I would suggest that we, looking at this list, that we focus more on people from 20 to 40. I mean, not that, you know, the opinion or ideas of kids under 18 is not important, but I think we're going to get the most useful feedback out of people that are looking at working, living, raising a family here in the next 10, 20 years. I think these are the people we want to hear from. So maybe we should focus more on that.
I second that because I think it's nice if, you know, I have young children that you would be targeting in the school setting, but like, I don't think we should be surprised by who came out. I mean, we have demographics in our existing conditions report that shows the aging population. The growth in in Laconia came from an aging population. These are typically the homeowners, and we know that there is definitely an interest when something like this comes up on property values, and we know that that's the motivator, so let's not pretend that it isn't. So we shouldn't be surprised by who turned out. And, you know, that's all. So. I mean, you know, it's you know, let's not pretend that we're like, oh my gosh, you know, 25-year-old dude that works at T-Bones, the line chef didn't show up at 4 o'clock for this important community forum. Like, of course not. Like, I mean, let's be real. The people who have a direct interest are going to be the ones that are lining up. And what we have to do is try to find more creative ways to solicit their feedback, because to Eric's point, it matters if you're, you know, if you want to be someone that grows in this community and has a, you know, a life here, or, you know, yeah, so.
Yeah, I think that's really critical. And I think going to the businesses and building that network is really, really important, because as you say, you've got the 25-year-old working on the line at T-Bones. Who's he going to talk to? He's not going to talk to me or you. He's going to talk to the people in his same age group and the people who are doing what he's doing. So how do we reach them? And I think if we have a questionnaire or something that's easy to read and quick to respond to, then they can have that. Employers can hand it to them and say, this is part of what we want you to think about. Because it makes a difference to the employer as well. If the employees got certain comments that would make it better for them. So
Who can identify who these employers are and be a conduit to employers?
So, I was kind of writing myself a note as we were going through this. I think if we reached out, Joya, our economic developer, has been working on building relationships with a lot of the businesses in Laconia. And we could really try to see if we could funnel her into this and see if we can get her to use her contacts at some of these businesses to blast out some questions to them to get some quick feedback. So I think we could do that, and that would take care of a lot of the businesses.
All right, I think if we can focus right now on who we're reaching out to and who we're reaching out through, then we can work on what we're gonna reach out with. The Young Professionals Network seems like, are you part of that? You
No.
joined the Lakes Region
You
Young
do
Professionals
know-
Network?
Well, I did do Leadership Lakes region.
You do, but don't you know didn't you help them in their last transition here? When the lady retired there and they hired somebody new to come in, didn't you help them do a?
Yeah, so after you do the program, the following years, they usually ask you to come back and help out with one of the days for
that's
Leadership
different.
Lakes region. But, I mean, I can still reach out through them, because, you know, that's a Young Professionals Network,
Crystal
but it's different than,
participated in the Young Professionals Network
Yeah.
and has a contact as well, so.
okay.
But they actually get together, and if we could organize one of their get-togethers and maybe partner, spread the word somehow and get a little bit more people. And then we had brainstormed, like, you know, trivia nights at existing bars and restaurants or coffee shops or anything like that.
yeah. I'm just thinking of downtown, the new owners are relatively new owners, businesses downtown, Wayfair, young people. All My Life Jewelers is transitioning to Charlie as being the owner. Miles at MC Cycles.
And
What about a table at when they close down Canal Street, whatever that's called, like the
The
Friday
block
night
party.
close
the
down?
Friday
and-
night.
party on Friday?
but we'll
Yeah.
get some good feedback.
Right,
Brew, little table,
yeah.
keyboard
Yeah.
warriors, I don't know. That's why I'm like, we need a way for it to be electronic.
You just want to mingle at the social district, right?
Hey, I need
Well,
an
you know what?
excuse to get out of my house.
Even
We'll
if,
help you, we'll help
even
you.
if we set up a booth at, say, a block party, we have a tablet we could bring out and people
Yeah.
could use the tablet to fill out.
There's either one tomorrow night or next week where the owner's band of the record store is playing live, so maybe a large turnout. I'll check the date, I'll get the date to you.
That's
Yeah,
a-
I'll sign up
I
man
think
the
That's a
booth.
great idea, yeah.
It's at least awareness, right? And maybe we're planting a seed a little bit early. I mean, I don't know how quickly we can assemble. So maybe next week, tomorrow's Friday. It's every Friday, right?
No.
They close Canal Friday.
Every other Friday
Okay.
they do
I
it.
believe it's every other Friday.
So I think next Friday, this Friday is a little bit too close, but we could probably
Do it the one
uh,
after.
set up the logistics for the following.
Yeah, as it starts to plant a seed, there's some awareness there, and then we can, re-engage at like maybe another event. But,
And are you thinking, so it sounds like we have those possibilities. Liz had a really creative idea, but I think it's for maybe people under 20. But maybe we could do 20 to 40, but to work with the newspaper and try to do like a future faces of Laconia, like talk to young people and kind of create an ongoing conversation. It's up, it's the very last thing on the last page. And so some of these things could kick off right away, and some could come as we go, if they have legs. I'm wondering if, with this group, knowing we might get people, even some people who are in the room tonight who've already participated through the other mechanism, if we go to the emerging community priorities and kind of frame it that way. We might have some open questions about how they view Laconia, what the issues or opportunities are, but then let them know that there's at least 8 areas that have been coming to the surface, and what are their thoughts? Like, what's significant in here, or what should be done related to these? And not make it too long.
or like
Yeah.
ranking. Like, what's,
Prioritization?
yeah, like these are the 8 things, rank your top 3. And then
If
why?
there's-
And why? Why do you care?
Yeah.
And
And then you can have a spot too, like if there's something that's not on here that you think should be on
Yep.
here, put it there, but at least you have something for them to work with already.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Do like an other,
What's missing?
yeah.
We were at the community, I think, sometime last week, and they had a gathering of people, and they called it Crafternoon. So they're doing crafts in the afternoon, and they had 8 or 10 people there. And so this idea of having the trivia night or trivia or something at Community and Wayfarer, Wayfarer's now got 3 places that we can use, one in Lakeport, the Weirs, and downtown, so probably set up something like that. And I'm sure that they would be willing to participate, because they're very community-oriented.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to do something not just in the evening, so you might
Right.
get people on their way to work
Mm-hmm.
in that 20 to 40. You might get people under 20 and over 40, and that's okay.
Yeah. Probably ask if we could set up a booth in a couple of these for an hour or so during certain times, moving through the city to see if
Yeah.
we can get some participants.
Agreed, agreed.
Now, the other thought I had is that, we don't want to limit these necessarily just to residents either.
Right.
Because there are people that are coming into our community that we need to serve as well. And we need to hear from them.
Mhm.
Because we may think, well, this is how we want to do it, but that may turn other people off if we're doing it just our way. So I think we need to be willing to accept ideas and thoughts from anybody who's coming in, so.
And we did in
Yeah.
we got 20%. They may work here, or may own property here, or they may just be interested in Laconia, but they didn't live here.
Right.
And they still participated. And I think you're right, Pat. We
I
still
think-
want to continue that trend.
Mhm.
We're a tourist destination.
Steve, you mentioned a little bit earlier about the a church
Yeah.
type group. Is that something that would be willing to, or would be advantageous you know, yeah, we know that St. Andrew said it, they've got a weekly bulletin.
Yep.
They have youth groups as well, but, you know, you've got the whole gamut of the demographics in there.
Yeah, any faith communities, any way we can get it out to them, especially leaders in the faith communities who know what the bulletin is or the youth group
I'm
is.
certainly not a leader in the faith
No, but I
community, I
think
know
just-
that.
Just knowing who they are.
He's my
I'm
neighbor,
dodging
I know.
lightning bolts.
Yeah.
But that would be good.
Unfortunately, most of the churches, or members are have the same color hair as I do. There aren't too many young people in the churches anymore. The Catholic Church is the exception, I
Yeah,
think. for
we've
the
got
most
quite a
part.
few young people.
Right. Oh, there are a lot of young people in the Catholic Church,
Yeah.
but it's,
I mean, the good news is if we do enough of these different things, we don't
Right.
have to capture everybody through
Right.
any one mechanism.
no.
And they may be able to snowball a little bit. I mean, if Joy is reaching out to employers, she may uncover other things that are going on. So we can start putting together this list, start thinking about which of these things you have contacts in and you wanna put some time into. It'd be ideal if there was more than one person for some of these, so that if staff or we are helping, you know, we're talking to one or two of you about who the right people are, when they need materials. Setting up a draft survey, having the QR code, having this social media ready, all that's easy. Getting it up on the website, I'm looking at you because you do it, but that's easy as well. Tabling, we can adapt materials we've already done to create a table that explains what the project is and then whatever this new mechanism is, so that's easy for people to grab it on their phones or fill something out on paper, leave it with you. So it'd be basically called a meeting in a box, but it's like something you could take if you wanna go hang out on Canal Street, or Rob wants to go to an event that he's aware of, he can just grab it and it has the, you know, Forward Together banner, it's got demographic sheet, it's got the questionnaire, whatever else.
Yeah.
You know, you said using your phone, I mean, if we had that questionnaire available, that we could just say, here, go to this spot, here's the questionnaire, let's talk about it at one of these things, and they can fill it out right on their phone.
Yep.
Oh, all right.
So
I
we,
mean, this is-
so we could have the QR code and say, here.
Right. And then they would get that
Yep,
information.
and then
right
it would
there.
load the page for them.
Right.
We're reaching the end of my technological abilities.
You guys nailed it.
We always run
Nailed
out of
it.
stuff.
It's exactly how it works.
All right, so we'll start formulating some stuff
Yeah.
up. We'll reach out to some people, we'll see if we can get some contacts. We'll get a list of some businesses.
Yep.
And we'll kind of reconvene with you and kind of get stuff ironed out. And then we'll send out some options if people want to volunteer for
Yeah. Yeah, I think-
staffing a booth or staffing an event.
I think creating like a spreadsheet, and then we'll send it out to you guys as well.
Put your name in.
Yes, and we'll have it broken down by like, these were the ideas that were discussed, this is kind of locations we're looking at, you know, who has contacts, who's willing to staff something there with us, and obviously we'll pick up where we can.
Yep.
Can't be everywhere at once, but we'll do our best.
So as far as timing goes, I'm gonna be away next week on vacation, but, and Crystal's away tomorrow. But, what I'll do is I'll put together the initial list, and Crystal can finish that list with our notes from tonight and share it with you guys so that you can see if we missed or you thought of other places before you circulate it to the committee. But then by the following week, we could have drafts of the other materials we could be working on. So by, you know, my hope would be by mid-July, if there's an opportunity to get out in front of a group or to start contacting, we could start doing it.
Yep.
If it doesn't all happen in July, it's okay. Like, we have August, we have September. But as long as we're making a conscious effort, it won't do it itself, right? We know that. We've already tried that.
Yeah.
So,
And I'd also point out too, for people in the audience as well, and that may be watching, that right now, we're having this discussion. There is an opportunity for public comment later, so if you have ideas, by all means, take advantage of that. And if you're not here, or you think of something later, you can always stop by the planning department, call us, email us your ideas too, and we'll kick it around and see what we can do, because we might not have thought of something here tonight.
or use the
So-
feedback form on the project website. We love
Yep.
that.
Perfect.
Just, can I ask one clarifying question? So are you all going to draft a briefer survey
Yeah.
for review? Okay. I think you said that as well. Thank you.
Yep. I think you
Yeah.
need something to look at and react
Yes, thank
and see if we're missing anything.
5 or 10
Yeah.
minutes.
What do you think, like 10 questions or less, or something, or?
Yeah, I think we obviously need, if we do this and we don't have demographic questions, we won't know who we reach, so we definitely need those.
Yeah,
We definitely need a catch-all question or two, like Tyler was saying about, what else is missing. But giving them something to react to and not starting from scratch, giving them at least the 8 things
like
that
the-
emerge.
it's like the icebreaker to get the
Correct.
the
Yeah,
conversation
and then
going.
let them rank what's important to them, tell us why.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And I pulled up the draft existing conditions report that we have still online. And, because I just also want to point out too, that yes, the majority of people that responded were over the age of 55, but I think you also have to look at the reality of the community in which we live. And, our demographics are skewed that way. And I think that with the outreach we've already had, it basically, it gives the younger demographics an opportunity to see, this is what everybody else has said so far. What are your thoughts on that? And then what have they missed, right? So I think we've laid good groundwork for them.
That's a good point.
And it'll let, everybody else know that, yes, we're on the right track, or, ooh, we missed that. Maybe we need to start thinking about that more. So I think we can use that to create some questions.
Perfect.
Cool. We have more stuff.
Yeah.
But I think this, from an outreach perspective, this will be a big part of what we're doing over the next couple months. It's not the only thing. So we have the next 3 months of meetings are scheduled. So we have a late July meeting, we have a late August meeting, and we have scheduled a meeting for September that I don't know if we told everybody on the committee, September 24th.
I believe I sent out an email of the dates for the rest of the summer up to that meeting. I might not have included the September meeting yet. I don't know. I'd have to go back.
Do we,
It's on my calendar. So
Is
you
it?
could-
So I must have.
Okay, thank
do
you.
we have those dates just so we can, just for people in the audience that they're
Yep.
aware and people online that they're aware,
Got it.
and just to make sure it's a matter of the
Yeah, I
minutes.
can't access my email on this,
think
so I don't
can
know.
pull 'em up.
It's July 30th,
So July 30th,
August 27th, September 24th.
Thanks, Eric.
Perfect.
And I'll explain what each of those is as well. So the July meeting, we have to start taking the information. We're gonna get more information from folks, and we're gonna get more information in September, but we have to start saying, where do we think we're headed? Like, what are we learning from existing conditions? Now you have hundreds of pages of information. We're gonna start synthesizing it further. So we're meeting with the staff and with RKG at the middle of July. We're having a work session. They already have all the survey data, and they're starting to think through what we learned about these different geographic areas, and to start to tease out remember that model that we used that talked about place types? So now we're trying to think about how can we calibrate that model to help us understand what a future could look like. And so we're gonna do a dry run with the staff to see if their heads spin around, or if there are things that they especially like that we should focus on, or things that they don't like or don't think feel like kind of a Laconia filter. And then we want to bring Eric to the meeting, not this Eric, but the other Eric, to the meeting at the end of July. And he'll present to you. He'll show you how we could use it to help us think about what a future land use strategy is. A lot of what we heard here is people really understood the need for sound, balanced land use planning, thinking about where development goes in relationship to infrastructure, open space, natural resources, all that. So if we want to use that input from the existing conditions report and outreach and engagement, and then use this model, we can start to tease out different ways that that looks. And it'll take time to do that. We also need to work on a draft vision statement, and then start to tease out, well, what are the big actions? If the vision statement says Laconia is headed in this direction over the next 10 years, and the future land use plan says, and these are the areas we'd like to focus new development or guide growth to, and areas we'd like to preserve or, treat differently, what are the actions to get there? And so starting to tease that out is important. So we'll have the July meeting, we'll have the August meeting, but then we're feeling like by September, we should start rolling this out and have a conversation. So what we talked, that September 24th date, is to do two things: to bring Eric up and kind of go back to our all-board meeting that we had and invite the public, but have that all-board meeting almost a year later, and say, okay, here's where we've been on this journey, here's what we've heard, and here's how it's starting to coalesce, and have people tell us where we're way out of line, or where we should go further with things, but really kind of, it's a gut check, it's a conversation. Typically, when we do it this way, by the time you write the plan, people know the nuts and bolts, they're not surprised with the outcome. But they can start to engage in helping us refine the steps and refine whether they're governmental or private sector, and we're just gonna wait and see, or whatever those things are. That's the gist. The other thing we wanna do that on the 24th, and this is partially to keep a promise I think Eric made to department heads when we did the community facilities, is go back to them in the afternoon and bring the department heads up to speed. And we decided it was too much to have department heads and land use boards and the public all at one big event. So we'll go to the department heads during the day, give them an overview of everything. They've been seeing stuff along the way, but make sure that they can understand how it's starting to come together, and that they can also weigh in with their specific knowledge base. So we're gonna do a lot that day. I'll pause for a second. Questions on any of that?
It's a lot.
I know.
Yeah.
We're doing
Package
a lot
there.
back.
Starting to ramp up.
We're talking about rolling out. Are we gonna roll out the whole thing at once, or are we gonna roll it out section by section, or,
The plan,
yeah?
the whole thing at once, at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah, but,
Because it ends up leaving people, if you just get the land use section, or you just get whatever it is, economy, people wanna know about all the other stuff. So if they can see how the themes come together and the story we're telling about
Right.
Laconia's work plan, which is really it is, it's a work plan. Like, this is the easy part, the implementation is when all the work has to happen, right?
right.
So having that come out in December, so people can read it and understand it and ask questions,
But I was wondering in September, when you say rolling out, what is,
just the vision,
okay,
future land use strategy or ideas, and some of the actions that are coming to the surface that are significant.
okay.
Yeah. So that we would present them, and we could provide that information out through the website as well, and collect feedback through the feedback form.
And we will then be working on the individual chapters. How's that going to happen?
We will do that on your behalf and bring you a complete draft.
Oh, okay.
Because you've already written chapters in
Right.
your appendix, your existing conditions report.
Right.
What we'll do before we go off and write anything is we'll meet after the September meeting, and we'll decide if you want to pursue a thematic plan. It could be the 8 themes that are in this. It
Mhm.
could be 4 of them. Meredith's was 3? We've seen 3 to 8. It really depends.
Okay.
It'll help after we hear from the board members and the public over the next couple months. There may be areas where you see a lot of actions and they need to be standalone. There may be some that have some synergy, and you might bring them together under a totally different name. It's less important how it's organized, it's more important that you're saying where you're going and how you're gonna get there, and that the two are aligned,
Yeah.
we find.
Yeah, because I think, you know, based on what you're saying, kind of how we've talked about this, is that, yes, we're doing all these chapters, but that's kind of just the buckets that we're gonna be putting things in kind of at the end. We'll do all the work ahead of time, and then we'll be like, oh, okay, this is really gonna fall under housing, because this implementation action has to deal with, I don't know, increasing density or reducing density somewhere, whatever it is, but it'll be in that bucket, you know, so.
The other updates I have for you, and I'm glad to see that Dean's here. So we have drafted profiles for natural resources and for recreation, Parks and Rec. We're finishing our internal review. We'll get them out to staff early in July for your review, and then to the committee. And I would like to, it'd be nice if we had, especially the natural resource one, to share with the Conservation Commission before we meet with them on August 5th. They've been sharing information with us, which has been really helpful. We're gonna have a kind of strategic natural resource and land conservation conversation with them as a workshop at the beginning of August, so.
With the Conservation Commission.
Correct,
Right.
yep, so that'll be good. And those are the things I wanted to cover.
That's great.
No,
I mean,
that's
this
good.
is the fun part, like,
This is it. I'm
you've
excited.
done a lot of work, now
Yeah.
it has to start to come together. We making you nervous?
Yes, very much so.
We won't move any faster than everyone's ready to move. But yeah.
Perfect. So I just want to mention, so during the 3 forums, we heard a lot of feedback from residents about preservation of some of the areas in the city.
Yep.
And because we heard the volume of that, as much volume as we did, we have an information session scheduled for June 30th at the library. We invited a couple subject matter experts to come in to discuss heritage neighborhoods. So that is going to be happening on June 30th at 6:30 at the public library in their auditorium downstairs, just so everybody's aware.
And we have already posted for all of our land use boards in case there is a quorum, and we spoke with Nancy in case there's a quorum of city councilors. So don't feel like you guys can't show up because we didn't post for it. We did. We already took care of it.
Yep,
So,
we've posted just in case,
just in case.
to keep everything,
What time is that?
6:30.
6:30.
Yep.
If action items, they don't have to be fully, thought out, but if action items, gems of ideas come out from that, if we could just start to collect those, we'll put them with others that have came out through existing conditions and outreach.
Yeah, so we're gonna have somebody there just to take notes of
Perfect.
some of the key points that come out, so that we have a record of it. And then we'll share that with you, and we'll share that with the committee once we finish everything. But I just want to make sure that everybody knew. It should have been in the Daily Sun, I believe, yesterday. It should be in the Nancy's news links that comes out for this week as well. So it's out there.
Will that be recorded?
We do not have that capability at the library, so it's just Rob's best notes. It'll be good, because I'm just gonna record it with my phone and copy the transcript, and then I'll take out the good stuff.
Be really good notes.
So there'll be really good notes.
Could we get it recorded, like on somebody's iPad or something?
Yeah, I'm gonna record it with the city phone.
For like the audio.
The audio,
Yeah.
the audio recording of it, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Charlie, you
Charlie,
are on this committee. You
why-
can
yeah,
sit at the
I'm-
table.
I didn't see a chair.
There's no
so-
chair for him, but there's this one, but I know
That's fine, no, I'm always comfortable out here.
you sit over here enough, right?
Anyways,
Have in your.
there's a lot of people here. Should we just open this up and see if there's any? So with that, we'll open up for public comment at 6:57. If anybody wants to come forward, share any of their input. If you've got an idea about anything we've discussed tonight, don't be shy. Come on up, say what you think, and we'll get it in there.
I'm Dean Anson. I'm the chairman of the Conservation Commission, and I wanted to let you know that we finished our comments on the NRI today. Grayson Draper is incorporating those comments. I think they should be done shortly. Our plan is to send a draft out to LRPC, since they're redoing their master plan. New Hampshire Cooperative Extension, we're going to send it to the lady who worked on the Wildlife Action Plan for Fish and Game. And we're sending it to FB Environmental for their comments, because they need to fold in their co-occurrence findings.
Okay.
So we're going to ask them to give us their comments in a couple of weeks. We know there's a holiday there, but that'll give them perfect opportunity to take a break from the holiday. We have, I think we told you, we started using iNaturalist to gather data about, we divided the city into 10 zones, and we're gathering data. We have over 3,000 observations so far throughout the city, and what we're trying to figure out exactly what we can get from the data, but we have, in downtown, we had 270 some different species in downtown. And then we have other areas where we have like numbers, and we have some areas where we haven't gotten enough information yet, so we're going to make a specific effort to get out to those areas and see what else we can find. It doesn't tell us, not yet. We have to figure out if we can do this. If it'll tell us how many birds, different species of birds, how many different species of plants, mushrooms, whatever. We're getting that, and as soon as we get some more information. So I think that the data we have already is roughly for the spring. So now we're going to start getting the summer, and this is going to be an ongoing activity. And we can get information from the Christmas bird count that was done for this area. So I had a couple ideas on where you could look to get more information, particularly for younger people. Shauna Saunders did a survey we sat out in the path on the sidewalks and engaged with people walking by. And I don't know what happened to that, but I think that's a pretty good way to, especially getting younger people. I think if you go to barber shops, probably if you go to bars, you might want to get them on the way in.
Shh, that was my plan.
Oh, so you get barcodes and I get Canal Street?
We can negotiate.
Here and there, so we have to be careful what we're doing.
The bookstore, I think I said barber shops. And the question I had was, how does the demographics of the responses compare to the demographics of the city?
I think that's what you were commenting on. It's similar.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. I mean, I think we would have liked to have had a little bit more, probably 45 and under, but the majority of our population is over 45. So as I'm looking at the graph here, I think that it's pretty representative, but we could do better, I think, of the younger demographics, especially when you consider that, you know, we're creating this plan. We want to include them in it because when we are all gone, we're handing it off to them,
Where are you
right?
going?
So,
Also,
not anytime soon, of course. but-
there's a summer softball league. You might want to go there. Anyway, I read your report. I thought it was very interesting. I thought it reflected a lot of my beliefs, which is that, you know, we don't have workforce housing. We don't have transportation. We're developing undeveloped land when we could maybe focus on the downtown area and renovating these buildings, take down the parking garage. I didn't say that. But I thought your report was very interesting, so, thank you.
Can I ask Dean a question?
Of course you can.
Okay. So when I was explaining earlier that we wrote the natural resources profile, it'll be a draft when you see it. So knowing that you have the other sources of data that we'll be getting, we can always include additional sections that summarize and point to those.
Okay.
So don't feel that it's done in any way. We want them to see it and understand what we have
Sure.
access to so far, but we can expand on it. And
Okay.
we're not gonna replicate stuff you had, but we wanna at least point to and acknowledge its significance.
Oh, well, you can replicate it, it's okay.
Okay. Make the document really big. So thank you, Dean.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening. Mike Conant, Ward 6. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for being on this committee. It is extremely important to our community. I think the demographics was the only alarming thing I saw in the report. I think I don't want to beat a dead horse, we've all discussed that. But we need to perhaps meet the younger folks where they are. And I think we should leverage social media in a more aggressive fashion. Perhaps we could have Joya incentivize folks to participate with their ideas. You know, perhaps we could have a contest for the most creative idea or for something along those lines. I certainly don't have the answers. But trying to get to where that crowd is. I know I don't really participate in social media, but I have adult children that do, and that's the demographic where we would like to expand upon. And other things like Fun Spot. it's amazing, you know, when I go there with my grandkids, how many young adults actually are there. It struck me as odd, honestly, but that's the younger crowd, and perhaps if we can reach out and find them where they are, and we all know they're on their iPads and their phones, so that's why my suggestion of just trying to be more aggressive on social media to get participation would perhaps help our cause. So, but thank you all for what you do.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Sean Flanagan, and my wife and I live over at the Weirs. And my concern is and it's been written in the report, I read the report, of the overdevelopment. And I wonder whether or not the current ordinances that we have allow that overdevelopment. And you mentioned just recently that, you know, this plan of implementing after the study's done as to what can be done. And John mentioned that, you know, maybe some of the recommendations are things that the government can't do. So my concern, I watch many, and when the Red Sox on playing, I'll watch, you know, a zoning meeting online, and I see that, and I've been involved in a couple of, as a butters and as an applicant, that the zoning board, because of some of the ordinances, as much as the abutters are opposing a particular development, their hands are tied because of the ordinance, either by, and I don't quite understand, you know, special exception or by right. But it seems to come up a lot that as much as the zoning board sympathizes with the abutters who are opposing a particular project for whatever reason, by right or by special exception, because of the ordinance, the way it's written, they have to allow that to happen. And it just, I mean, in this particular project that you guys are working on, the master plan is going to take a while to implement.
Right.
You know, can there be a moratorium on development, particularly in the Weirs area, before you people, or the program is, the plan is implemented, and the government, the city council, can change the ordinances, so buildings can't be 50, 60, 70 feet high. You know, how does, you look at how does Wolfboro, Meredith, Alton, and Guilford not have this overdevelopment? That's my opinion. But it's happening in Laconia. And it certainly doesn't help with the property taxes, and you know, as a retired person on a limited fixed income, it can become, you know, a burden. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Just so you guys know, I don't know this guy, and I haven't talked to him.
You should talk to him, he knows a lot.
So I just want to let you know, City Council had a public hearing on Monday to discuss, and they ultimately adopted the budget, and rewriting the zoning ordinance was a topic that was discussed. The city manager said that there was going to be some funding that was set aside for that. So I think that we'll see that come to a fruition. And there'll be some public hearings and opportunities for everybody to come together, just like we've done for the master plan, to build a zoning ordinance that everybody is happy with in the city of Laconia. That'll give us the opportunity to protect areas that we want to preserve, to slow down some of this development in some areas, to help us regulate, so there's a little bit more smart growth going on. So I very much understand what you're saying, and I think that your concerns are going to be addressed. The city is very aware with what your concerns are, and we're actively looking at solutions for them. So you are very well heard, sir.
Yep. And can I just piggyback off that too, with the public forums and everything we've been hearing, especially at zoning board, planning board as well, we've known that this is an issue, and that it takes, obviously government is a big ship, it takes time to turn it, But that's why we've been pushing so hard, even though we're in the middle of a master plan, to get that funding, because we know that we want to be ready as soon as we can get started on it, to get started on it. And that we could start doing some things with this funding even before the master plan is finished, to kind of get it set up, so that way, once it's done, we can finally say, yep, we know what we've got, start implementing some action items that had come up, and we'll all be ready ahead of that, so.
And for some of the reasons you already brought up is why we're looking at heritage neighborhoods and why that was brought up and why that was a concern. And we're already leaning forward on that as an informational session for next Tuesday. So we're already looking at tools and investigating options of what we can do for some of these things, so.
May I just ask a question? Oh, no, come on. If you do put like an iPad or something at Fun Spot, say, is there a way, can anybody fill this out, or are we restrict this to residents? Or does it not matter?
Anybody can fill it out
From any place?
Yes.
from any place.
Okay, interesting, thank you.
So if you read on the outreach report, there's questions that lead into that. And I think they did a very good job, Crystal did a really good job of kind of parsing out who those individuals were, not by name, but how they were affiliated with the city, whether they were a business owner, what their affiliation was with Laconia. So you kind of understand what their perspective was when they were filling that out, so.
Thanks, Rob.
Yep.
I'm Marge Wilkinson, and I'm a chairperson of the Heritage Commission, and have some knowledge of the neighborhood heritage districts, and am very thankful to Rob and Tyler, who are arranging this forum that's going to take place on the 30th. As you have been talking, because I'm on the Heritage Commission, we're also see demolition requests often. We've lost structures that have had historical and cultural impact on Laconia over the years, going back 100, 150 years, but also even going back 60 or 70 years. And I think that we have communities in our neighborhoods, Laconia, Weirs, Lakeport, where everyone recognizes and is upset about some of the demolitions that have taken place, and rightfully so. It's a sad thing to say and to see. So I am hoping that as we move forward, the ordinances, again, will accommodate something like that. And it becomes a grassroots neighborhood project. And they know what they cherish. They know why they moved to that particular neighborhood. The natural resources are probably why we're all here. And I grew up here for many, many years, left for many years, and returned back here because of the natural resources and because it was a great neighborhood to grow up in. So I'm hoping that as you are organizing, that you also take into account the cultural aspects as well as the structures that might be valued in our area. So that's basically, and the Heritage Commission is willing to help. So they volunteer us. So.
Thank you. Anyone, there's a whole bunch of you out there that haven't spoken yet. Come on up and voice your opinion. Dave, I'm so glad you stood up and come up. I was gonna have to call you out.
Dave Willett, Ward 1. I want to reiterate what Mike said. Thank you for all the board members. I know you guys take this serious and put in a lot of hard work. One thing I do want to remind you, as somebody that sits in the back of the room, if you don't talk into this, we can't hear you. So just that's important. But I think I heard earlier you were looking at targeted area of school age. I would agree with Councilor Hoffman. I think 20 to 40 makes more sense. Not to say that the school age don't have good ideas, but it might be all about skate parks and longer recesses. I don't know. I'm sure they have great ideas, but I think that 20 to 40, I don't know, but I'm trying to think outside the box here. does that age group listen to the radio? And if so, what radio stations? We have local radios, you know, stations, and Eric's shaking his head, no, they don't listen to the radio.
think so.
You know, I was thinking, if some of the radio stations encourage people to come in, somebody maybe from the planning department, to explain what we're trying to do here. And as a result, maybe just put it out there of what we're trying to do, and if it captures that age group, it's a win-win. Because a lot of times, the radio station, there's no expense doing this. They're, you know, with a PSA, trying to get the information out there. Just thinking maybe that's, you know, I heard a couple of, you know, Fun Spot, great idea. I'm not so sure the watering holes would be the best spot to try to get information from, but there again, I'll leave it up to the board.
People talk a lot there, Dave.
That's right.
But I do think what we're doing here is great, and I was very excited to hear that at the last council meeting that there was some money set aside to rewrite the ordinance. I think it's gonna go hand in hand with the master plan, and I think that we're on the right track. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had another idea on a possible location to try to reach a younger demographic is if we're talking about putting a table somewhere or someone with a tablet walking around the WOW Trail, probably you get the sub 55 demographic on the WOW Trail, I think. Might be a good location.
And we'll reach out to Shauna and see if we can get that data that Dean talked about and see what that looks like, and maybe it'll encourage us to go ask different questions.
I would think it would piggyback off of like Lakes Region Community College, because you want employers who want people that are being educated for the jobs that are needed. And as a citizen of Laconia, I think that making Laconia long-term good for families, because we don't want the schools populations to go any lower. We're all seeing it, and that's where we want our city to be 10, 15 years from now. And I would think that would piggyback with like Lakes Region, NHTI, Plymouth, kids that are there and where they're thinking, where they want to work, where they want to live. So that's my 2 cents as a citizen. Julie Worth.
Thank you.
No problem.
But I also want to piggyback off what you said as well, because I was thinking about that too with LRCC. I know when we had talked about, you know, working with the school district, looking at September, because obviously kids are back in school, parents are paying attention at that point, and really trying to get the parents involved, because that just seems to be when they're most active. Same time frame, though, I think would work very well with LRCC. You know, I was thinking, like, you know, you have drop ad week where everybody's run around at the college and trying to figure out everything they want to do for the coming year and the coming semester. And so maybe around that same time frame, trying to set something up there, a table, maybe even a couple, if there's a government class that's starting up or something like that, I don't know, you know. But something
They have
along
to have
those
some
lines.
resources. I would
Right.
think that would just be a relationship that would be win-win.
Exactly.
So.
We should sign you up for a bunch of classes. You might have to drop them all.
Hey, I love school.
Excited about ad drop week, didn't we?
It was a great time. I got to pick what I wanted. Yeah.
It was a great, like that hit a chord right there as soon as you said that. I haven't thought about that in so long.
Could be because I'm still in
That's
school. but-
online now.
Of course,
Yeah,
Tyler's,
you don't have to go to the bursars off, the registrar anymore.
Tyler's still in school, though. He's working on you're working on your master's degree
Yeah.
in public administration, so.
All right. You don't have to go to community college on top of that.
Okay.
But you're right. That's a good time frame to do that. So.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Anyone else?
This is great having this many people here to share ideas.
No, and thank you all for showing up. We've been slowly building an audience each meeting, so I feel like we're making headway.
Anyone online?
Two people watching right now.
But
They can't leave comments. But if they want to make a comment, they can always call the planning department, shoot us an email.
Yep.
Or go to the website.
Or go to the
Feedback.
website, that's right.
So if there's no other,
One more idea. It was mentioned, you know, radio advertisements, which I shook my head at, that I'm not sure that that's a valuable use of resources. But in that same vein, YouTube advertisements
say, yeah.
can be geographically.
Yep.
Podcasts.
Right. Right,
And,
might be a
social
good way to
media.
raise
Social media
awareness.
ads. They're not that expensive.
Right.
Yep. Okay. YouTube's a good one.
I'll talk to Joya. I know she's been working on some marketing ideas, so Please reach out to her and see what we can get moving.
Yeah, we'll look into Spotify too, knowing that people.
I was gonna ask that too.
See if the pricing's similar to the others. It might make sense to do that at a couple intervals, knowing you can pick the location and the demographic you're after.
Mhm.
It's good. Those were not ideas that were on the table when we walked in, so.
Nope,
Yeah,
it's
a lot of
very
good
true.
ideas. And that, knowing that everyone seems to have consensus that we're going after that 20 to 40, we might get some younger, we might get some older, but that's really the group. That's really helpful to us. It helps us tailor this and have realistic, I think, expectations of tasks that we can all accomplish together. So we'll get working on that.
Other place would be veterinarian. People with their pets.
A lot of people have dogs.
All right.
The Wow Trail.
We're gonna send you.
I don't know anything about dogs and cats.
You don't have to. You just have to talk to the people when they come in.
Next time I send my dog to
All
doggy
that.
daycare, I'll put a little QR code on her. With that, if there's no other comment from the public, we'll close that at 7:20. Is there anything left we want to discuss? Or, I just want to reemphasize, our next meeting will be July 30th, followed by August 27th, and then September 24th. And September 24th, we want to work to do a all boards meeting type of meeting to see if we can get all the input for direction that we're going on from all of our land use boards and from our city council.
Yeah, and we had public at that kickoff, that was all boards,
Oh.
we had 30 or
Yep.
40 people. Are we
Yep.
thinking it'll be back at Belknap Mill, or?
We've been kicking around some ideas. We'll keep
Okay.
kicking them around and we'll let,
We liked the Belknap Mill, it was just a little bit more difficult, the logistics of it and getting it live streamed was hard.
Okay, wherever you guys want to do it, we can make it happen anyway,
Okay.
so.
Can't do it at the library. Probably do it at the high school.
We could
We should
actually
do
reach
it
out
at
to the
the
high
high
school.
Nice to have a big enough place that no matter
The
how
high
many
school,
people
I think,
show up-
has all that capability, so we will investigate that one. Thank you.
Save that for later discussion.
All right, with that, nobody has anything else? No? Going once, going twice? Motion to adjourn?
Motion moved.
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned for the evening.
Where's that updated zoning map? You getting that hand calligraphy by
We do it
monks
our
or
place.
scrimshawed or?
So actually, so